Hey, wait! Don't click away. I promise this is going to be a good video. It's going to be informative, and you probably need to hear it, in all honesty. Alright, so, depending on when you're watching this, which will most likely be on the 20th of January in 2017, or otherwise known as Inauguration Day, um, you're probably wondering why are you posting a video about Trump? Or if you stay politically informed, you know that Trump is president. Well, unless you've lived under a rock, you probably know that Trump's president. Alright, so this election and this, like basically all of the things that are happening right now are historic in more ways than just one, besides him just becoming president. He is the first outsider president that was elected since Ronald Reagan. And, he's Ronald Reagan and then Donald Trump and then also Jimmy Carter are only really the few outsider presidents that we've had in the last 100 years. But Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan were only outsiders to a certain extent. Donald Trump is the only outsider who has had no political background at all. Jimmy Carter, the Georgia senator, and Ronald Reagan was a California governor. So both served in some capacity of government roles before becoming president. The reason that they could have been called outsiders in some extent is because they both weren't really career politicians, and they both kind of went outside the box of their political domain of the time period. Jimmy Carter, before he was a politician, he was a peanut farmer, and then Ronald Reagan, if you didn't know already, was an actor. Now you know. But why do we look at history to look at how Donald Trump could possibly have his presidential term, what he does in it, like what he does in his first 100 days, and how that will affect it, and how we can look back on history and see, does this affect and everything. Looking at the successfulness and or unsuccessfulness of previous political outsiders can be viewed to see how Donald Trump could possibly do. You can almost compare Donald Trump to Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan, almost like a smash together of the two. Ronald Reagan accomplished many things during his presidency that still leave an impact on the Republican Party. A whole era of Republicans are almost independent and can swing both democratically, to the Democrat side I mean, and then also to the Republican side. He also tore down the Iron Curtain in Europe, basically ending Eastern and Western Germany. Created a whole, basically new type of economics, lovingly called after him Reaganomics. I'm pretty sure it was teasing at the time. And then we can compare him to Jimmy Carter, and we can compare everything that he did compared to what Jimmy Carter did. And I'll basically be comparing it to, like, basically foreign relations during the presidency. Excuse me. Jimmy Carter was really not known, or was really not good at foreign relations during his presidency, and he is more known for his post-presidency actions instead of actions while he was president. So Donald Trump is definitely known for his actions before he was president. Jimmy Carter really wasn't, but Ronald Reagan was, which is funny. But Donald Trump's foreign policy is really shaky to say to the least. You can know the leaders of a different country, but and they can respect you economically, but they don't have to respect you politically, which is what we've had a problem with Obama and other countries. But the other way that this is making history, and it's weird, you always hear protests around the inauguration, people marching for like anti-war type of movements and other things of that sort, where they on occasion, in 2001 there were a few instances of people being violent during these protests, but most of the time they were peaceful protests, and they were not, they were just protests to hopefully help things change, to spread awareness onto their light, and to shed, awareness onto actual problems that they're having at this time, like, oh, my son's off in Vietnam. This isn't fair when I see this politician's kid. He's not there. Other things of that sort. Now, because of the First Amendment, I have no problem with this. The laws that are set up for these type of protests and rallies are set up in a way that, if you have a permit to do these, then you're fine. The reason for permits is so that you can protect the average citizen, walking by. If you have a permit, the police can set up a barrier and stuff and protect the people. You can protect those that are in a march. If you have the police there, observing it, making sure nothing gets out of hand, nothing gets too unruly, then you can make sure everyone stays safe. And you can also make sure that it doesn't block traffic, etc. Make sure that life continues to go on, even though there's a protest. It's best of both worlds. Something you don't really see anymore. But doesn't this restrict the First Amendment, you would ask? But in actuality, it doesn't. These permits help to maintain a peaceful protest, which is what the First Amendment says. The right to have a peaceful protest of government grievances. Grievances. Why not? Grievances. Not grievances. Same word. The things that the First Amendment were supposed to allow in at least protesting were to make sure that, the people had a way to protest their grievances against the government without them, getting thrown in jail just because they're protesting. Whereas compared to, if they were being very violent during these protests, they could have been thrown in jail. But if they were just peacefully protesting it, that was one way to get, access to politicians at that time period. That's why it's in there. Now, what I don't like is what is illegal is when, you protest, you don't have a permit, it's not peaceful, you're blocking roads, and you're causing this general turmoil, you're causing disturbances, and you're destroying the general welfare, and you're just making chaos. And I don't care who is doing it. I don't care if your Black Lives Matter, I don't care if your White Lives Matter, if that even exists anymore. I guess that would have been a KKK. Huh. I don't care if you're any group. I don't support the KKK, by the way. Don't do that to me. I don't care what you stand for. I don't care if you're I don't want the puppies to die, but I'm going to be violent about it. I don't care what you support. If you're violent during it, you're illegal. It's illegal, and you're breaking your constitution that you're trying to use to say, I can do this. So, you got to be aware of what you're doing this for. And I'm saying all of this, and I'm saying all these examples because of the fact that there's already planned protests that don't have all the documentation they need to be able to be legal. Excuse me. The main purpose of these protests is to block the inauguration, to block people from seeing what they want to see, to literally not promote the welfare enhanced, to literally just cause everything to go downhill. Now, if you're watching this video and you are in these protests, I know what you're feeling. I know what you're feeling. I've felt it before too. Losing is hard. But when you're purposely planning to block the inauguration, you're causing a security hazard as well. You're not just blocking it to say he's not my president, even though he's your president. No matter how many times you say it's not going to change the fact. You're literally making it easier since you're not keeping within a confined area where people just to make security easier. So to make sure that even though you don't like the guy, I'm pretty sure you don't want him dead. You might, but that's messed up. You have something wrong in the head if you want to kill someone, or if you want someone dead. But if so you're causing safety concerns to everyone if you're doing this. Compare this to looking at all the riots across the nation right now. You see looting and burning and all this other stuff. And this isn't just going to be these type of riots and protests are not just going to be happening in DC. They're happening all across the nation. But if you notice a trending pattern, it's going to be mostly and the cities where they voted strongly Clinton. And also, you're going to be noticing it's strongly in the big cities. You're not going to see them out in like a tiny little town like in Hoosdunk, I don't know, Delaware, I don't know. You're not going to see them in the small towns where they respect people and they respect the property. You're going to see them where, people that don't think that they're directly affected by it, like a city's being shut down for a day, then they're just going to do it. They just don't. Okay, where was I going with this? I got off on a tangent. Sorry. Let's get back to where I was. Look, I get you're upset. I get it. I get you're a bit scared. Look, you're unsure about everything that's going to go down. I'm going to tell you this: if Clinton had become president, I would be scared too. So, either way, it would have been scary for either side. And I also understand that you're not really used to everything like just not going. Like it's not your fault. You're not. I'm not avoiding the blame for you, but I'm also saying society has done this to you. You're used to everything going your way, or at least going somewhat your way. And if you complain loud enough, if you scream loud enough, that everything will go your way. As you're brought up, like a lot of a problem with children being raised these days is that they scream and scream and scream and scream and scream, hopefully to get their way. And then their parent just finally says, "Fine." If they finally just be quiet, then maybe they'll be quiet, and I'll give them what they want, and they'll be quiet. You see, the problem with this parenting is that they don't know how to say, they don't know what to do when I say no. They don't know how to react to that. They've been conditioned to whenever they scream loud enough, they'll get what they want. You can see this on college campuses when Donald Trump won the election. There were safe zones. There was immediately riots everywhere across where he didn't win. Everywhere else he went, there was no major thing. Twitter was a mess. Look, I get everyone's upset. I get it. But spoiler alert, losing does happen. Welcome to the world of Republicans. We lose when we win. If you don't believe me, look at Congress the last 8 years. We had Congress the last, 6? 4? And we still got nothing accomplished. You'd think that they would make at least a bipartisan bill with Obama to say, hey, look, we can at least pass the budget. We wouldn't have to do the sequester. It still happened. What's going on? We lose no matter what. So that's why Donald Trump won. Because of the fact that we were sick and tired of everyone just saying, no, it can't be done. No, we don't want to work with people. And hopefully Donald Trump will be like, all right, we can work with you, hopefully. Hopefully he's good at getting deals done. I mean, he has a book by it. But something that just hasn't happened in 8 years for some people is this. They lost. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with saying no. The everybody gets a trophy mentality has ruined this generation. We don't know how to take a loss. I mean, for those of us that play Call of Duty, I suppose we should know a little bit better. Off topic. But our not being able to take a loss our self-pity and our moaning and complaining should not take away the enjoyment of someone else. That would be like me going to like a 9-year-old's birthday party and then just going in there like, I don't know, eating their cake and then saying, it's all mine. Or going in there and just being so just rude and disrespectful to people that you don't know. Or like going into a wedding and causing a scene because, I'll use a metaphor where America's the bride and then the winner of the election would have been the groom. So, where the bride, I wanted the bride, but someone else got the bride, so I want to make sure that that person that has the bride now is miserable the rest of their life. It is not only selfish, but it is petty, and it is rude, and it just shows on your childish behavior. I've heard of people on Twitter saying that they want Donald Trump to fail miserably. And that is like being on a plane and, you don't get something the way you want it to, or, you don't get a Sprite off the cart can. And so you see a person up the aisle and you hope that they die in a plane crash or something. Well, guess what? The fact that you're also on a plane with them kind of means that you're going to go down in the plane crash too. You are on the plane as well. It would be like me not wanting, in my best interest, like me wanting the teacher to fail me so that I don't learn what I need to do to be able to be good in life. Like, if Donald Trump isn't good for, like, if he isn't a good president, that means that America goes through 4 years of at least bad presidency, following the 8 years of the so-so presidency. No, I'm not dissing Obama. He's a cool guy, just not my type of president. But you chanting, not my president, you saying, oh, he's not my president, inauguration protest, is different from the anti-war protest. Last time I checked, you're not dying. You're not actually, like, half the things that are happening in Saudi Arabia that you're crying about. Oh, I'm being called misgendered and everything like that. Where people in Saudi Arabia, if they are thought that they are gay, they are being literally, like, burned on a stake. And you're like, oh, I'm being misgendered. I'm just such a delicate flower. It's time to put on our big boy pants, or big girl pants, or grown-up pants, I guess, if you don't want to be misgendered. And go to work with the cards we have and make the best of them. We need to reunite this country. It's time to grow up. We don't need to have another 9/11 type event to bring us back together for a short amount of time. We should be able to come back together after an election and say, okay, it's time to deal with what we do. We need to get the best done for this country. So what? Our idea for this, what we thought was best for this, wasn't the same as this one, but you know what? We should be able to collaborate with each other, get together and say, hey, look, this is the best of my side, this is the best of your side. How about we bring them together and make the best of both worlds? But that doesn't seem to happen in a long time. So, okay, that was a rambling that has been on my mind for a long time. I don't know about you. Some people are probably like, oh, I'm so triggered. And some people are like, oh, I'm somewhat glad that someone else thinks this. But, again, I don't care if you protest. Go all for it. First Amendment rights, all that stuff. My glasses are crooked. Please don't think I'm crazy. It's also the camera. But I'm all for peaceful assemblies, because that was actually what's in the Constitution. Assemblies to protest a grievance they have with the government. But what I'm not for is A, violence, B, rioting, C, looting, everything that goes along with this horrible, horrible events. And like people just taking things way out of proportion. When they think, like in November, when Donald Trump won, people were like, oh, the world's going to end, the world's going to end. When like literally hours beforehand, they were talking to Donald Trump supporters saying, hey, when Hillary Clinton wins, it's okay. We need to come together and we need to be unified. And then after Donald Trump won, then he'd be like, ah! No, it's time to look at your words and realize this still needs to happen. Just because someone else won that you didn't want to win doesn't mean that your words that you said beforehand that made you look like you're caring about other people, and actuality your true colors were just shown that you didn't actually care for the other person. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, is this actually what's happening, or am I just taking this out of her hand? Again, it's time to look at the cards that you were dealt and do what was best with those cards you can do. I will see y'all later. Bye.